This summer, I wanted something new. I was tired of sitting at home and watching TV. I needed fresh air, adventure, and freedom. One evening, I sat down with a notebook and wrote, "Go somewhere wild." I smiled. That was the goal. I started searching for places online. Mountains? Beaches? Forests? All of them sounded great. Then I saw a picture of a small island in Greece. The water was clear blue. The houses were white with blue doors. It looked like a dream. I said out loud, "I want to go there." And that's how the journey started. The next few days, I felt excited and nervous. I booked my tickets and a small guest house on the island. It was cheap, but had great reviews. Then I started packing. I didn't know what I would need, so I took everything: clothes, shoes, a swimsuit, books, sunscreen, snacks, a camera, and even a small first aid kit. My suitcase looked like I was leaving for 1 year. I laughed at myself. Still, I felt ready for anything. My dog watched me pack. He looked sad, but my friend promised to take care of him. The day finally came. I got to the airport 3 hours early. I didn't want to miss my flight. While waiting, I drank coffee and looked at people. Some were running, some were sleeping, and some were talking loudly. Everyone was going somewhere. I felt like I was in a movie. When the plane took off, I looked out the window. The city became smaller and smaller. Then I saw clouds and sky. I closed my eyes and smiled. My summer holidays had really started. When I arrived, the air was warm and smelled like salt. The taxi driver was waiting for me with a sign. He didn't speak much English, but he smiled a lot. The drive to the guest house took 1 hour. I saw small houses, goats, and lemon trees along the road. Everything looked peaceful. At the guest house, an old woman welcomed me. Her name was Eleni. She showed me my room and gave me lemonade. I thanked her and sat on the balcony. The sea was right in front of me. I couldn't believe it was real. The next morning, I woke up early. Birds were singing outside. I put on my swimsuit and walked to the beach. It was only 5 minutes away. There were no people, only the sound of waves. I sat on the sand and watched the sea. It was shining under the sun. I swam, I read, and I slept. At lunch, I found a small cafe. I ordered grilled fish and Greek salad. It was the best meal I had in years. I felt light, happy, and free. I thought, why don't I live like this every day? The next day, I wanted to explore. I asked Eleni about hiking trails. She gave me a map and said, "Go early, it's hot." I packed water, snacks, and my camera. The trails started behind the guest house. It led to the hills. I walked and walked. Flowers, butterflies, and olive trees were everywhere. I took many photos. After 1 hour, I reached the top. The view was amazing. I saw the sea, the village, and the green fields. I sat on a rock and ate an apple. Suddenly, I heard something behind me. I turned around and saw a wild goat staring at me. The goat looked at me and then walked closer. I thought it was cute, so I took a picture. But then it tried to eat my backpack. I stood up and said, "No, that's not your food." The goat didn't care. It grabbed the strap with its teeth. I pulled my backpack. The goat pulled too. I started walking away. The goat followed. I began to run. The goat ran faster. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. After 10 minutes, the goat gave up and walked back to the hill. I stopped and laughed until my stomach hurt. The next day, I needed something calmer. I saw a sign in the village, "Boat trip around the island, daily at 10 a.m." I joined. The boat was small, with only 8 people. The captain was a tall man named Nikos. He told jokes and played Greek music. We visited sea caves, hidden beaches, and even saw dolphins. I jumped into the water and swam with fish. We had lunch on the boat. Fresh bread, olives, cheese, and wine. It felt like paradise. I made friends with a woman from Italy. We exchanged numbers. She said, "Come visit me in Rome." I said, "Yes." One evening, I heard thunder. The sky turned dark. A storm was coming. Eleni told me to stay inside. I sat by the window and watched the rain fall. The wind was strong and the trees danced wildly. I felt cozy in my room. I made tea and read a book. Suddenly, the lights went out. The power was gone. I lit a candle and smiled. It felt like an adventure. I listened to the storm and wrote in my diary. I felt brave and calm. Sometimes storms can be beautiful too. The next day, I decided to visit a small museum in the village. I took photos, bought a souvenir, and had coffee. When I reached my guest house, I looked for my phone. It wasn't in my bag. My heart dropped. I checked everywhere. Nothing. I ran back to the cafe, the museum, the street. Still nothing. I asked people, but no one had seen it. I felt sad and angry. But then, a little boy ran to me and held out my phone. "You dropped it," he said. I hugged him. He laughed. That day, I learned not to panic too fast. After losing my phone, I wanted to be more careful. I also wanted to see more of the island. I saw a scooter rental shop in the village. I walked in and asked the man, "Can I try one?" He gave me a small red scooter and a helmet. I was nervous at first, But after 10 minutes, I loved it. The wind in my hair felt amazing. I drove along the coast, through small roads with flowers and trees. I stopped to take photos and drink orange juice. I felt like I was flying. While riding the scooter, I saw a narrow path going down a hill. There was no sign, but I felt curious. I parked the scooter and followed the path. After 15 minutes of walking, I saw it, a secret beach. No people, no noise, only the sea and the wind. I couldn't believe it. I took off my shoes and ran to the water. It was warm and clear. I swam, floated, and sang songs. I stayed there for hours. That place felt like it was made only for me. It was the best part of my trip so far. That evening, Eleni told me about a festival in the next village. There will be music, food, and fire dance, she said. I joined her and some guests from the guest house. The village square was full of lights and music. People were dancing and clapping. I tried the food, grilled meat, sweet pastries, and local wine. Then the fire dancers came. They twirled sticks with flames. I had never seen anything like it. A man pulled me into the dance circle. I laughed and danced under the stars. It was wild, beautiful, and unforgettable. One morning, I got lost while hiking. I took the wrong turn and ended up in the wrong valley. My map didn't help. My phone had no signal. I felt nervous, but I kept walking. After 30 minutes, I saw an old man sitting under a tree. He was drinking coffee from a small cup. I said, "Hello, I'm lost." He didn't speak English, but he smiled and pointed to a path. I followed it, and after a while, I found my way. I wished I could thank him more. Sometimes help comes quietly and kindly. One day, Eleni's nephew came to visit. He had a donkey named Bella. He asked me, "Do you want to ride?" I laughed. Why not? Bella was slow, but sweet. I sat on her back, and we walked through olive fields. Children waved at me. I waved back like a queen. We stopped at a small farm. The nephew picked figs from a tree and gave me one. It was soft, sweet, and juicy. I had never eaten a fig like that before. I felt close to the land, like a part of the island. I wanted to see the sunrise at least once. I set my alarm for 5 a.m. It was hard to wake up, but I did it. I wrapped myself in a shawl and walked to a small cliff. I sat on a rock and waited. Slowly, the sky changed colors: dark blue, pink, orange, gold. The sun came up from the sea. It was quiet and magical. I promised myself something that morning. Live more, worry less. That moment stayed in my heart. Sometimes a sunrise can change your whole mind. On Saturday, the local market opened in the village. I walked there with a basket. There were fresh fruits, handmade soap, painted mugs, and old books. I bought peaches, a blue scarf, and a postcard. A woman sold honey and let me try a spoon. It tasted like flowers. I talked with people, laughed, and learned new words in Greek. Efcharisto means thank you. I said it a lot that day. I loved the colors, smells, and friendly faces. The market felt like a celebration of simple joys. That afternoon, Eleni invited me into her kitchen. "Do you want to cook?" she asked. I nodded with excitement. We made stuffed tomatoes and zucchini, a dish called gemista. First, we cleaned the vegetables, then mixed rice, herbs, and onions. She showed me how to fill each one. We put them in a big pan and baked them. The smell was delicious. When we sat down to eat, I felt proud. It tasted better than any restaurant meal. Cooking together felt like family. I asked her for the recipe to take home. One evening, I walked along the beach at sunset. The light was soft and the air was warm. I saw something near the water. It was moving slowly. I came closer and saw it was a sea turtle. She was laying eggs in the sand. I stayed quiet and watched from a distance. It felt like a secret gift. After she finished, she returned to the sea. I stood there for a long time. Nature is full of surprises. That night, I dreamed of turtles swimming in the stars. After so many adventures, I needed a slow day. I stayed in my pajamas until noon. I made coffee and read a book on the balcony. I watched boats in the distance. I wrote postcards for my friends. I drew little hearts and waves. In the afternoon, I took a nap with the window open. The wind moved the curtains gently. I didn't go anywhere or do anything big, but I felt peaceful. Not every day needs action. Some days, rest is the best adventure of all. That evening, my phone rang. It was a video call from my younger sister. She said, "Where are you? Your background looks fake." I laughed and showed her the sea view. She was jealous in a funny way. "You look so happy," she said. I told her about the goat, the boat trip, and the market. She listened with wide eyes. "Next time, I'm coming with you," she said. That call made me miss her, but also feel lucky. Sometimes sharing your joy makes it even bigger. The next morning, I took a long walk along the rocky side of the coast. I climbed over small cliffs carefully. Suddenly, I found a group of rock pools filled with clear water. Tiny fish swam inside. I saw colorful shells and even a small crab. I sat there, dipped my feet, and watched the little sea world. It felt like finding treasure. No tourists, no noise, just nature doing its quiet magic. I stayed there until sunset. Some of the most beautiful things are the ones we find by accident. That weekend, Elaine's niece got married. She invited me to join the wedding celebration. I was nervous but excited. I wore my nicest dress and even put on makeup. The church was small and full of flowers. After the ceremony, everyone went to a big garden for the party. There was music, dancing, and a lot of food. The bride was beautiful and the groom looked proud. Someone pulled me into a circle dance. I laughed and tried to follow. I didn't know the steps, but I felt the joy. I danced until midnight. The next day, I felt a little sad. I didn't know why. Maybe the wedding reminded me of something I didn't have. Maybe I missed home. I sat by the sea and watched the waves. I didn't speak to anyone that day. I just listened and thought. It's okay to feel lonely sometimes. It doesn't mean something is wrong. It's just part of being human. By evening, I felt better. I had a nice dinner and wrote in my journal. I told myself, it's just a quiet day. That's all. In the village square, I met a street musician. He played the violin with his eyes closed. His music sounded like wind and dreams. I stood there, listening for a long time. Then I clapped, and he smiled. "Where are you from?" he asked. We talked for a few minutes. He said he travels from town to town just playing music. "Music is my home," he said. That sentence stayed in my head. I gave him a coin, and he gave me a song. That was a fair trade. I started talking more with Elaine's granddaughter, Sophia. She was 22, kind and funny. She spoke good English and wanted to practice. We sat in the garden in the evenings, drinking lemonade and talking. She told me stories about island life. I told her about the city. She laughed at my goat story and taught me a few Greek words. She became a friend, not just someone I met on vacation. Meeting people is the best part of travel. They give you pieces of their world to carry home. One day, I hiked to a small church at the top of a hill. It was white with a blue door, just like a postcard. The door was open, and the inside smelled like candles. I sat on a bench and closed my eyes. It was quiet and cool. I'm not very religious, but I felt something peaceful there. Outside, the wind was strong, and I could see the whole island. I stood for a long time, arms wide, letting the wind hug me. It felt like the world was saying, "You're doing fine." At the beach, I swam far out, enjoying the warm water. Then I saw something floating near me. At first, I thought it was a plastic bag, but it moved. It was a jellyfish. I panicked and swam back fast. My heart was beating like crazy. On the sand, I checked my arms and legs. No stings, just fear. I laughed after a while. That was close, I thought. The sea is beautiful, but it's also wild. Respecting nature means being careful, too. On my last evening, I went to my favorite cliff again. I sat on the same rock where I had watched the sunrise weeks ago. Now I was watching the sun set. The colors were softer, like the end of a song. I thought about everything I had done: swimming, dancing, losing things, finding peace, making friends. I felt full, like my heart had eaten a great meal. I whispered, "Thank you," to the sea, the sky, and the island. It had given me more than I expected. In the morning, Eleni hugged me tightly. "Come back," she said. I promised I would. Sophia waved at me from the gate. I left her a letter and a book. At the airport, I felt quiet. Not sad, not happy, just thankful. I had changed. I wasn't the same woman who came here tired and stuck. I was leaving with stories, memories, and a lighter soul. I looked out the airplane window. The island became small, like a dream in the distance. But inside me, it stayed big and alive. When I arrived home, everything looked different. The city was loud and busy, but I felt calm inside. I unpacked my bag slowly and looked at the souvenirs. The blue scarf reminded me of the sea, and the postcards made me smile. I missed the island's peace, but I knew I carried its magic with me. I told my family stories about my adventures, and they listened with surprise. Sometimes a trip changes you in small, invisible ways. I started showing my photos to friends and coworkers. They loved the secret beach, the fire dancers, and the sunset cliff. One friend said, "You should write a blog." I thought about it. Maybe I could share my summer story with more people. Writing was new for me, but I wanted to try. Every photo had a story. Every story had a lesson. Sharing makes memories live longer, and I wanted my summer to live forever. After returning, I kept practicing the Greek words Sophia taught me. I used an app and listened to Greek songs. Sometimes I talked to myself in Greek, trying to remember Efarispo and Kalimera. It was fun and silly, but it helped me feel connected to the island. Learning a language is like learning a new song. You need to listen, repeat, and enjoy. I promised myself to keep learning and maybe visit again. Winter was coming, but I was already thinking about my next summer trip. I wanted to explore new places, meet new people, and find new adventures. The island taught me to be brave and curious. I didn't want to just travel, I wanted to live every moment. I started saving money and making a list of places. The world is big and my heart is ready. Adventure is not only for holidays, it's for life. Even when it was cold outside, I remembered the summer warmth. I put on my blue scarf and smiled. I opened my window to let fresh air in and played the songs from the island. The summer spirit stayed with me, the feeling of freedom, joy, and discovery. I learned that holidays are not just days off, they are moments to find yourself. I was ready to face anything with the summer sun inside my soul. Inspired by my trip, I started drawing. I sketched the secret beach, the fire dancers, and the little donkey Bella. Drawing helped me remember the details and feelings. I took a small notebook everywhere and wrote short stories. I felt creative and happy. The summer adventure became a new hobby, a way to travel again without leaving home. Sometimes the best souvenirs are not things, but feelings and memories. I joined a local travel club to meet people who loved exploring. We shared stories and planned trips together. I met someone who had been to the same island. We laughed about the jellyfish scare and the lost phone. It felt good to connect with others who understood the travel joy and challenges. Friendship is part of adventure. Every person you meet adds color to your story. One cold day, I went to a nearby lake. It wasn't the sea, but it reminded me of the island's water. I took off my shoes and let the cold water touch my feet. I closed my eyes and imagined the warm sun. I smiled and thought, next summer will be even better. The beach is not only a place, it's a feeling you carry with you. The adventure never ends if you keep it in your heart. I learned to love the little moments: morning coffee, a good book, the sound of rain. Summer holidays taught me that adventure is not always about big things. Sometimes it's about small joys that make life beautiful. I started noticing birds singing, flowers blooming, and stars shining. Life is full of simple magic. You just have to open your eyes and heart. Now I feel ready for whatever comes next. Summer holidays gave me courage and hope. I am more open to new experiences and more patient with myself. I know I can face problems and still find joy. Every day is a new adventure if you want it to be. I look forward to tomorrow with a smile. My summer story is not over. It's just the beginning.